everyone, Shu here. So I'm hopping on here quickly to ask you, how are you doing? And like I mentioned in the post, not just on the surface, but really inside, deeply, how are you doing? We're so used in our society, and how many times you ask people how you doing, they say, "Yeah, fine, I'm good. How are you?" Well, it's like this automatic response that we just give out because that's what's expected. That's what everybody does. But to be honest, how many of us often say, "I'm fine, thanks," and actually don't mean it? So today's Tuesday, and every once in a while I'll pop in for a Truth Tuesday or Tuesday Truth. And I want you today, again, to make that commitment to yourself that you will be honest with yourself. And I get it. You don't want to be talking about your feelings and emotions and things that you're struggling with to everyone out there in the street or everyone, at the store. But at some point, you have to be honest with yourself so you can tackle those things. And it is okay to not be okay. And I even posted it in my description here. I'll be the first to admit that I am not okay, and that is okay, right? And I am not okay for many things. There are some things going on with my health, with my family, but also just some of the things that happened recently that, through this whole ordeal, call it quarantine, virus, pandemic, whatever you want to call it. For this whole ordeal, it's been hard. It's been hard managing my own needs and my kids' needs from home all the time and not having the support that we used to have before. And all of that been a lot. It's been a lot. It's impacting me and I am not okay. So I will admit that some days are harder than others. And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in saying that, oh yeah, there's certain things that are just difficult right now, and I think even just owning that gives us that control back, because when we feel overwhelmed, when we feel like too many things happening and we're stressed out and we're frustrated, whatever the feelings it is for you, often there's that loss of control that comes with it, right? Think about it. When you're stressed out, because often it's because you feel like there's nothing you can do to change the situation. Even when you feel anxious, just like, oh, this is so much, I can't take care of this, I can't figure it out, I can't, whatever, is you fill in the blank. And it's often that feeling of loss of control that creates that makes us feel unsettled, if you want, whether it's, with frustration or feeling with, like I said, with anxiety or stress. A lot of time there's that fear, or that fear of losing that control, or even feeling like we lost control and not having, and that is huge. So with everything happening, we're all feeling like we lost control, right? We lost control of our time, even control of how we maybe not our time as you time on the clock per se, but how you spend your time. I used to have somewhat of a routine that worked well for my family, having take the kids going to school, I do this, I do that, and then I feel more refreshed after they come back because I have taken care of myself. And having that alone time, be able to go to the office and work, and home was more of my sanctuary. And now it's like everything just mushed together, right? There's everything happens at home: the doctor's appointments, my kids' therapy sessions, my work, my everything, my own doctor's appointments, some of them happen from home. So just like the sanctity of, if you want, of my home is somewhat lost. And that's starting to bother me. It's starting to bother me that my home doesn't feel like my home anymore. It feels like everything, like the doctor's office, it feels like everything but my home, because again, I kind of lost that, maybe not control of my home, but lost how, I don't have control how use my space anymore, if that makes sense, because everything is here. And although my kids always had schoolwork, right? We did schoolwork every once in a while, homework, and that needs to be done, but I was never the teacher. So my house now is also a school classroom. I'm just like, oh, that's just one more thing that got added to the list, and that's taken away from the sense of control that I had over my time, over my space. And yes, it's bothering me. Yeah, it's bothering me. But other things that have been bothering me a lot is, maybe not bothering, but affecting me. It's seeing how it's just how many people are hurting. Yes, the work that I do, it exposes me, if you want, to a lot of things, and I am no stranger to pain and grief and losses and, abuse and neglect and all of the things that are sometimes difficult for people to talk with anybody else. I get invited, if you want, into those sacred moments and sacred conversations, and I do not take that lightly. But I also, at the same time, is like before, like I mentioned, I could do my work and have the time to decompress without the kids, and then be able to be fully present for them. And now everything just all mushed up together, right? It's like I don't have that distinction, that clear separation, if you want, and I need that. I thrive in some kind of order. And I right now I feel like a lot of my order, if you want, a lot of my routine's been taken, and it's bothering me. Can I adapt? Yes, I'm adapting, right? I wouldn't be here if I'm not adapting. I am adapting, but it's still okay to say that this is bothering me, that this is affecting me. And the longer this goes, yes, as much as, I was talking with another friend earlier, that, even for those of us who, do things like professionally to help others, it's still not the same when you have to do it for your own family, right? It's not the same when you have to wear so many hats at once at home and not having those clear boundaries. So yes, I'm not okay, and it's okay. But so in the midst of all of this, of all those things that I cannot control, right? I cannot. Right now, we got an email. Was it yesterday? I think, or it was Sunday. I can't remember. And again, that's one more thing, right? All the days kind of run together. It doesn't matter if it's Sunday or Monday or or Friday, for that matter. All the days are the same. But we recently got an email from our school district about not like holding on to all the material, holding on to the kids' books, holding on to their iPads for the summer, and that they'll connect with us when school reopens. I'm like, okay, that's not a good sign. And I know there've been some rumors already going out about that. We don't know what's going to happen in the fall for our kids. But even that email was just another reminder. I'm like, oh my goodness, this will my all those things are reopening, again, it's all this phase opening and all of that. But there's still going to be a lot of changes that we've been dealing with that might not even go away anytime soon. So for us, although my kids are ending school on Friday, this coming Friday, my boys, it feels like summer started back March 13th, I believe. So, or summer was already supposed to be extended because of some construction and all of that. The school district was planning on ending this school year on May 22nd and then starting the following year on September 7th. But now with all of this, we started a summer. It feels like we started a summer break, although it was not summer per se, on March 13th. So it was summer in the sense that the kids were not physically going to school, but it wasn't summer because we still have all this schoolwork to do at home while we try to manage their needs, emotional and physical needs, and my own emotional and physical needs, and then trying to work from home. And it's just like, I worked from home for years, but I had a routine. The kids were not here all the time, and even when they were here, were able to get people to help with them, so that they were attended for, and I could focus on what I needed to do as well, and when that was needed. And right now we don't have that. So yes, I am not okay, and I'm going to keep repeating that because I want you to be comfortable saying that. Even especially as parents, it's so easy. Our kids feed off our energy. They feed off of our stress, and when we try to suffocate our stress and pretend that we're okay, we make matters worse, right? You might be short and being irritable and snapping at everybody in your home, and even at work, when you're doing all those calls and Zoom calls and however it is that you're connecting with your work, and all of that doesn't help you or help the people that are around you. But if you can just admit, I'm not okay, I'm struggling, or I'm overwhelmed, or I'm stressed out, or I'm anxious, whatever it is, give yourself permission to acknowledge, to be truthful to yourself. So my challenge to you today on this Truthful Tuesday is be honest with yourself. You don't have to tell me, you don't have to tell the world, but start with you. Start with yourself and saying, okay, how am I really feeling right now? How am I really feeling? And then if your feelings and your emotions been impacting others, in your life, your loved one who live with you, I really encourage you to take a step further and talk about it with them. You don't have to go into details. Your kids don't have to know all the details of what you're feeling, but it's okay to say, you know, it's so that right now, you're struggling. Right now, you're overwhelmed. Not only that helps your kids also feel like, they're human, right? Because we don't realize when we're always putting up a front and being like, super mom, super dad, super uncle, who, superman and superwoman, we are not only not only making things harder for ourselves because we're not being honest with ourselves, but we're also sending this message that is confusing and also can actually do your children and people around you a disservice. Because if you're always trying to be, superman, superwoman, you're sending this message to people who are looking up to you, whether it's your kids, your people, your staff, people that that you have influence over. It tells them that it's not okay for them to let their guards down. It's not okay for them to feel a certain way. It's not okay for them to be overwhelmed. And you even find that, people, when they feel overwhelmed or sad or frustrated, they avoid you. And you're like, well, I'm here. I can listen. Well, maybe you're saying with your mouth that you can listen. Maybe you're saying, you are putting message that we have an open door policy. But then in your own behavior, you're setting up this wall or this expectation that it's not okay to feel. It's not okay to be weak in per se. It's not okay to have a moment of weakness. So for your sake and the sake of people who depend on you, take that moment. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And then you can deal with it, right? Like right now that I say I'm not okay because there's so many things that are out of my control and it's impacting me. But I might not be able to change those situations, but I can still work on how I'm dealing with it, how I'm interpreting those situations and reframing them. And and by all means, how I'm also, what I need to do to take care of myself in this moment. Because again, at the end of the day, that's all I can control, right? That's all I can control. So a step further. So after like being honest with yourself, owning up to your feelings, talking about it with the people who matter, the people who are affected by it, but also don't wait. Don't wait. And you might say, okay, should wait for what? Here's what I'm noticing, and part of the reason why I'm not okay with some of the things that are happening and how it's impacting me. It's that I'm hearing stories after stories where people are waiting until they hit rock bottom to seek help. People are waiting until it's too late. This week alone, the past, today's Tuesday, right? So in the past, I'm not this calendar week, but in the past like 7 days, I would say, I've heard of 2 people who died by suicide. And if you know me and you follow me, you know that that's something that's dear to my heart. Grace and Hope Consulting was, originated because we wanted to do our part in preventing suicide. So every time I hear that someone died by suicide, it doesn't matter if the person knew me or I knew them. For me, it's one life that was lost unnecessarily. And that just bothers me. So, and it doesn't matter who the person is. Like the 2 people, who died by suicide in the past 7 days, one was a 12-year-old and one was, a middle-aged man. So it's not an age thing. And like the 12-year-old was doing, that when I found about it in the past 5 days or so, but he didn't have any signs of being depressed. So don't always wait until like people are, like I say, you're reaching rock bottom to seek help. Don't feel like, well, no, I'm okay. I got this. I'm fine. Honestly, prevention is the best medicine. I'll say that again. Prevention is the best medicine. Not just for your physical health, but more so for your emotional and mental wellness. It's important not to wait. You don't have to see a therapist or a counselor because your life is falling apart. Yes, when you get to that point, see a therapist. But just like even with physical health, if you start having symptoms of, heart problems, you're not going to wait until the day you have a heart attack to actually, go to the hospital. I mean, by all means, again, if you're having a heart attack, you call 911, go to the hospital. But just think about how much you could have what you could have done to prevent it to get to that point. And maybe, but at that point, there's so much damage that's already done to your body. And it's not that those damage are reversible, but it takes more time now to work for that damage, to heal from the damage, when you could have prevented some of those things from happening. So I really, really, really encourage you, don't wait until it's too late. Right now you can wait to get a haircut because your finger's closed, right? Yeah. Don't don't buy my hair, right? You can wait until, I don't know, something like right now with landlords, they're giving you, you grace period. You can wait. You don't have to pay right now. Then nobody's going to be evicting anyone right now because of, late rent payment. That you can wait, if the money's not there. But your wellness, please, please do not wait. And I've said this many times and I'll say it again. I do not tell you to not wait because I want you to call me. If you want to call me and work with me, great. But again, it's not about working with me. It's about saving your life. The people who died, that I learned that died in the past 5 days or so, they're not people who are connected to me. But their lives still matter. Their lives still matter. And I'm going to post, when I'm done here, I'm going to post the link to the crisis call. You can call that phone number or even text. It's also a text number that you can text and just chat because say, I'm overwhelmed. I just need someone to talk to. You're allowed to do that. And right now, whether you have insurance or no insurance or money to pay for a session, those hotlines are free. And it gets you started to having a place to, get those feelings out. And so it doesn't get to the point where you feel like you have no choice, right? Nobody dies by suicide because they want to die. That's the misconception that we have. And I'm going to say it again. Nobody dies by suicide because they want to die. People die by suicide because they feel like there's no way out. And that's a big lie. There is a way out of the depression, right? Not out of life. We still want you here. There's so much life for you to experience. And there's so much help available out there. And if you need help finding resources in your area, free resources to reach in your community or online, let us know. We do that all the time. Connecting people to resources. And like I said, it's not about getting another client for us. That's not, yes, we're here to serve. Yes, we're here to help. Yes, we're here, we run a business, but at the end of the day, your life matters to us than any check or cash that you can ever pay. There's no price to your life. Your life is priceless. So for that reason alone, I don't want you to wait until you feel like you have no other choice. I don't want you to wait until you can't function anymore. And I can't tell you how those stories break my heart. It breaks my heart. So even as I mentioned, I am not okay, and that's okay. I'm doing something about it. I'm a counselor who also sees a counselor. I've not seen a counselor for years. But once we start going through this, I was managing okay, and then it's like, okay, I need to take care of myself. Keep myself, give myself the support that I need. Yes, I start seeing a counselor again. And my family, even as my kids, everybody here gets some kind of help. And then, we also have, every Friday, we have a family session with a family therapist. Because and although I'm fine, I'm running my business, I'm supporting people. But I don't want to get to the point where I can't function anymore in order to get help. I want to make sure that I'm getting the help now so that I can continue to function, so that I can continue to be there for my kids, so I can continue to support my clients. And honestly, for God's sake, so I can continue to be here. Right? And those of you, I will post, those of you just are now knowing me, probably don't know my story. And there's a Facebook, there's a YouTube video I did, 3 years ago, sharing about my mental health story, how I even became a counselor, why I became a counselor, why I started helping people with the mental health. It's because I've been there. And although, on paper, my symptoms and my diagnosis are in remission. Yes, mental health, diagnoses can also be just like cancer. Just like people go into, remission with cancer, I went into remission for depression and anxiety. And then COVID-19 happened. And the stress of it, start feeling overwhelmed. Am I depressed? No, I don't feel like I feel depressed. I feel overwhelmed. And because I feel overwhelmed, I go seek the help that I need so I can continue to be here, continue to do what I need to do. So I encourage you to do the same. If I'm getting the support that I need as a counselor, as a life coach, I'm seeing, I already have life coaches, I have business coaches, but during this time, I reached back out to, to a therapist for myself. So in addition to a family session that I do with my kids to help all of us, function well, I have an individual session. If I'm doing it, and I know how to take care of myself, I know how to support others in the journey, but I am doing it. I'm seeking help for me. I really encourage you. Honestly, there's no one who's above getting help right now. There's no one who is too good to see a therapist. Honestly. And even the people, some of the people who are struggling the most right now are those who others always assume that they always have it together. And sometimes, they think that they have to hold it together because they have to support everybody else. Right? Maybe it's their kids, it's their family, their spouse. They have to figure out how to make it all work. So they have to be the strong one. Let me tell you something. Seeking help is a sign of strength, not one of weakness. Because a strong person knows when they need extra help to continue to be strong. But sometimes we let pride hold us from seeking help. Sometimes we let stigma hold us for seeking help. And honestly, I'm only 36, but in my 36 years of life, the people that I've seen well-adjusted individuals on this earth are people who have sought counseling at some point in their life for one thing or another, one reason or another. People who pretend to have it all together, or people who think they don't need help, honestly, are those that I even struggle with the most, to be honest. Not just in my personal, in my professional life. I'll have, I sign contracts with different agencies and do a lot of work. And I can tell you when I'm facing someone who think that they have it all together. And just like, oh my goodness, those are the hardest people to work with, the hardest people to deal with. And like one of my friends, says, it's like we have to make sure that those resources that are taught in those coping skills and strategies that are taught in group therapy and inpatient floors or rehab centers, that all those resources are available to everyone. Because guess what? Those of us who go seek help come out stronger, and the rest of society are falling apart by pretending to be strong. And guess what? What happens afterwards? Chaos. Literally chaos. Because the one that we send away to get help comes back stronger. But those who are there are getting, this illusion of strength, and then, just be creating more toxicity around for people who are actually trying to get better or even are getting better. So do yourself a favor. Do your family a favor. Do your business, your ministry a favor, and get the support that you need. If you have medical insurance, in the back of your car, there's a customer service number. Call that customer service number and say, hey, I just need to talk to someone. And yes, they're going to ask you the basic question that we ask everybody else. Are you having any thoughts of harming yourself? And that's because your life matters. It's okay. We ask those questions to everyone to make sure that people are not in crisis, right? And it's okay to say, no, I'm not at that point, but I just need to talk. That's even a healthy thing to do. It's a healthy thing to do, right? So if you have insurance, do that. If you don't have insurance, and even if you do, actually, there's national hotlines that are totally free that you can call and text and start talking to someone, and they can connect you to different resources in your area. And if all of that does not work, you're still not getting the support you need, please message us, email us. We'll help you connect to the resources that you need. And like I said, this for me, I'm not doing this live because I want one more client, honestly. God provides for us one way or another. But I'm doing this live, I'm talking here because your life matters. Your life matters. Just like those two people, that 12-year-old and that middle-aged man, middle-aged man who just died by suicide. Their lives matter. So don't wait until it's too late. And if you are a parent or a loved one and you're noticing someone in your home is, being started to withdraw or, not being as engaged, or maybe they're even physically there, like they're joining the family for dinner, but they're not talking as much, or everything's like, yeah, okay, they're kind of just very passive in their engagement. Those are all signs that they're not doing well emotionally, right? And sometimes, you'll find people who, appear to be well, but they start talking a lot about giving the things away. They start talking a lot about, oh, nothing matters at all. This life is just, they lose that, no, and not only just interest in things of doing, but just the interest in life in general. Those are all signs, right, that they need to talk to someone. And even if, like I say, for me right now, it's just being overwhelmed. I'm talking to someone. So even if you just feel like you're overwhelmed, talk to someone. It helps you get those feelings out. But then when you're talking to someone, it also helps you process what's happening and maybe come up with a plan to start reducing some of that stress so then you can be well, both physically and emotionally. All right, I can talk about all this all night long, but I just want to tell you that your life matters. And it's okay not to be okay. But even then, and especially then, please get the help that you need. Do not wait. Do not delay. All right, my friends. Good night.